Welcome back to Soulful Strategies with Kathleen Amy. This is where business meets intuition and where we talk about strategy and systems in a way that respects your capacity, your nervous system, your season of life, and the fact that most of you listening aren't trying to build businesses that are removed from yourself. You're trying to build businesses that are coherent and resonant with your vision, your mission, and your values. And something I keep noticing in conversations with clients and honestly in myself at different points in my business journey over the past 8 years and life is this story we have around inconsistency. And people will say it really casually, almost like it's just a personality trait, like, oh, I'm just inconsistent on social media, or, oh, I just show up for a bit and disappear, and like they laugh it off, or I'm just too creative, I need to follow my flow. And it's often women because I predominantly work with women, and it's said with this kind of shrug, like, oh, it's just a fact, like it's just part of me. But when you sit with it for a moment, underneath that casual tone is usually something else that I see and feel, and there's actually shame there. And there's this subtle assumption that they're the problem, that they lack discipline, that they're not motivated enough, that maybe they just don't have the temperament for being visible online. And I don't actually see it that way. I see it completely different. And I think sometimes that I'm inconsistent is a story that we are telling ourselves when we don't have the right support underneath us. Because what I see over and over and over again in all walks of life, not just business, it's not the laziness or a lack of ambition or a lack of what you want. It's a lack of container. And I say that as someone who is deeply creative. If I don't build structure around my creativity, I absolutely move in waves. I have bursts of clarity and then I go quiet. And if there isn't something steady underneath it, it very quickly becomes a narrative about productivity and worth and whether I'm doing enough, which, if I'm honest, is more about conditioning than reality. But even as a projector in human design, my energy ebbs and flows. And as a creative person, not even if you subscribe to like human design or any of those things, like just if you are a naturally creative person, you will know that your energy comes in waves and it ebbs and flows. And so if we start thinking about it through the lens that there's something wrong or a story that we're not consistent, it becomes that there's something wrong with us rather than something that we can work with. And I would rather look at it as something we can work with, because being deeply creative and in your flow is not the problem. It's that there's not a container to help you when you actually need to sit down and be a business and run a business. So it's not really a worth issue. It's not even like a motivation issue. It's really that structure and containment issue. And creativity needs a container, otherwise it spills everywhere and then it disappears. And when there isn't a rhythm holding your visibility as a business, every time you sit down to post, it becomes this little internal debate. What is this post? Is it authority? Is it personal? Is it selling? Have I already said this? Does this align with where I'm going? Will my audience resonate? And that constant decision making, the constant deciding is what drains your energy. It's not the writing, it's not even the posting. Sometimes it's actually the negotiation and all the steps that you need to get to the posting, right? So what tends to happen is you either overthink and delay, or you post something quickly just to clear it, or you disappear completely, the post and ghost, until you feel another spike of inspiration. And then you call yourself inconsistent when really you've just been trying to create without anything steady to return to. And this is where anchoring your content in days rather than moods really will change everything. On this day, I anchor authority. On this day, I deepen connection. On this day, I nurture. On this day, I invite. And over the week, there's usually an overarching theme you're circling, or a pattern you're naming, something you're experiencing, something you're embodying, something you're moving through, something you're exploring. So the posts feel cohesive rather than random. There's a baseline rhythm. Those maintenance posts, they go out all year. They don't disappear when you're not launching. They don't rely on you feeling particularly energized or particularly inspired. They are that steady marketing current of your business that is for your business and appeals to your target audience. And so then when you move into a launch season, or you're offering something, or your energy spikes, or something drops in that you feel called to speak about, you just layer that on top. You don't scrap the rhythm. You don't suddenly switch into emergency launch mode. You add volume and you amplify what's already there. And I have seen this shift so many times. Someone who thought they were bad at posting, or they were just inconsistent, suddenly feel steady once that constant decision making is removed. Nothing about their personality changed. We just stopped asking them to reinvent the wheel every single week and gave them a structure to return to. And so consistency in this way isn't about intensity. It's about steadiness. And that steadiness comes from having a structure that supports you rather than something that you're constantly trying to live up to. And this is exactly why I created the Soulful Social Rhythm. It's not to make you post more. It's not to turn you into a content machine. None of us want that. But to give you a foundational structure that you can fall back on, a baseline that is always happening, even when life is full. So your business doesn't disappear just because your energy dips. It's intentionally simple. And it means that you're not feeling like you're constantly behind. I'll put details in the show notes if you want to explore it. But even if you don't, I really do hope that listening to this moves something for you. If you've been labeling yourself inconsistent, maybe you're not actually inconsistent at all. Maybe you've just been creating without a container. Maybe you are following the rhythm and flow of your own internal life and outer life, and you have just been creating without a container that matches how you actually work and how you actually function. And that's something that you can change. You can change the container. Thank you for being here. I genuinely appreciate your time. And if this has resonated, leaving a review helps this reach more thoughtful people building steady businesses. I'll see you in the next episode.